This unit, okay, has routed. Let's see if we can roll up the flank now and accelerate this defeat. Okay. So let me get this straight. Let me pause that for now, or let me slow this down. So what did we just see over here? We took roughly the same losses that we took in the last fight. Despite no terrain advantage over here at all, despite the massive terrain advantage we had in the last fight, the discrepancy, we only lost about 10. We ended up losing fewer men in this fight fighting on level terrain than we did in the last fight. How does that make any sense? How does that make any sense? That pretty much proves that terrain has such a negligible advantage on the fight. Again, it is unit quality. The one thing that was, two things were constant over here. Unit quality was kept the same between these two matches. The one thing that changed was the terrain. And yet, I don't know how long this fight has lasted. We're more than 10 minutes over here, despite the huge discrepancy in unit quality and the terrain advantage and flanking and complete surround. The battle is still dragging on for this long, despite accumulating all of these advantages. And keep in mind, these are black guards, okay? These aren't going to be available to you turn one on the campaign. So you're not gonna have this advantage in unit quality to rely on. Okay, we got skink cohort. Or did they rally? Oh, jeez. Well, okay. I think that's the army losses. Yep, that's the army losses that broke them. So victory. Okay, I want to see something over here. Okay, so we lost about 50 men total to kill 1,100, and this is with significant advantages in terrain and flanking. Okay, now I want to take this setup. And I want to do it on a flat terrain map to see what I can do, what I can pull off.
Quite useful in the early game because of the anti-infantry. Most of the armies that you're going to face in the early game are going to be infantry based. So getting that bonus versus infantry will give you a bit of an edge against them, despite the fact that you're going to be fighting an uphill battle because of the difficulty rating. And if you're playing on very hard or hard battle difficulty, the melee cheats that the AI get are incredibly significant. There's something like 20% extra melee defense, 20% extra melee attack, and 15% extra weapon strength, plus 10 extra leadership, which means their units are going to basically fight to the death. They're going to be hard to hit, and they're going to kick your ass in every single fight that they go into. Which is why you usually want to avoid fighting in melee. If an infantry unit has special abilities, such as the spinning loons like the fanatics have with the greenskins, that's a different story. But if the unit can only go into melee, then it's very difficult for them to do their worth. An anti-infantry unit, though, can maybe close the gap with it. Okay? Alright, next up is the Swordmaster of Hoth. Now, this one has been argued to be one of the strongest melee infantry units in the game. And guess where I'm going to put it? Trash. Do you know why? Because I can agree that it is one of the strongest melee infantry units in the game. But it is also a tier 4 melee infantry unit. You can use way more advanced tactics than melee infantry by that point.
So what is up, guys? Today we have a set of combat tests in Warhammer 2 showcasing the problems with the combat system in this game, and how morale doesn't really matter, and how difficulty modifiers kind of destroy the balance, skew the balance horribly against melee infantry. First test is going to be a one-on-one, or at the very least closest to one-on-one between two identical units, Blackguard of Nagaron. I wish you did not need to have lords. I wish that this requirement for generals would disappear so I could actually test units properly, but we'll have to see what I can do. So this is going to be a straight 1v1 fight on flat terrain, no other variables affecting the battle. Hopefully these I can distract the enemy lord. This is on very hard difficulty. And before you say anything, you say, well, you could just turn down the difficulty. No. Okay. I play games for the challenge. I play games to see their best challenge on the highest difficulty. So that's where I base my my analysis and my critiques. All right, let's see if I can. Okay, I think I'm pulling the lord away. How many ranks are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6.5. Okay, I'm gonna put my own unit at 6.5 just to keep things as consistent as possible for the sake of the test. So same profile. The units both have the same profile on the same terrain, same number of ranks. The only thing separating them is the difficulty modifiers from very hard difficulty. Moving fast. Okay, I'll also run in unison with them just to make sure, you know, fatigue, if it has any effect, does not ruin the test. Let's try and keep everything consistent over here. Also, that rubber banding. Oh my god. What is up? Let me check system performance. Yeah, that rubber banding is just wow. Oh, that's interesting. Anyway. Right away, we took more losses on the charge. We took 4 losses to 1. So they did what, 4 times the amount of damage on the charge compared to my own men. Right away, there's discrepancies. We're at 89, 98. Yep, we're already at a 10-man discrepancy between these two units. In melee, unit losing. So even though we had the same profile, same amount of fatigue or stamina remaining, same, we were counter-charging, we are actually losing the combat. There is nothing separating these two units other than the difficulty. We're at 9480. Let me just take a drink while we're doing this. 9480. 91 to 73. We are at a 20-man discrepancy right now. We're losing this, what, 1 to 2 at this point. We've killed 10 or 12 men and lost 30. We are losing this 1 to 3. We're at now 80. We have been consistently now at a 30-man discrepancy. Are we 47 to 82? 47 to 82. Are we gonna be losing 4 to 1 at this point? Will we start losing 4 to 1? 42 to 77. Very visible on very hard difficulty. And if you're like, oh no, but other games had difficulty modifiers, don't you worry. I will get through to testing that. I'm gonna show you Shogun 2. Don't you worry. Because I'll show you that difficulty modifiers, even if they do exist in older games, are so minuscule that it doesn't matter. And it is certainly not going to have a drastic effect on the battle, especially when you collect advantages like terrain and flanking. And they routed. So there you have it, guys. Undeniable proof of how borked the one-on-one combat is in this game in terms of melee. But that's not the only problem over here. There's another problem, and that is how you can't really collect advantages with positioning. Unit quality matters above everything else in combat. So let's concede defeat. And this is not something that you can say, oh, well, it's a fantasy universe. We're in the lore. It's accurate. No, it's just blatant. It's just blatantly lazy. It's a blatantly lazy way of designing difficulty in a game like this. And it's present in the historical games as well. So it's not something unique to Warhammer or whatever. Okay, I gotta keep things balanced as well this time. Okay, I want to keep things as balanced as I possibly can. So that's another one of these. Okay, so what? 7 units of Black Guard, same leader. And again, we're going to try and keep the leader, get the leader out of the battle. Hopefully I can do that again. Settings is going to be very hard again. This time I'm going to choose a map that has actual... Actually, no, I think I'll use the same map. MP Crossroads, yeah. I'll use the same map. I'll probably do this combat test twice. Using the same army, but on different maps. So here we have our second combat test, and this is going to be testing flanking and rear charges. Just how effective are they? Because if we can't, the thing is, if we can't win one-on-one fights, we can at least attempt to compensate by outplaying the opponent and trying to collect as many advantages elsewhere to avoid having our units just get bogged down in the melee. Okay, keep going, guys. Now the thing is, our guys should be able to hold long enough in the melee for our flankers to get into position. We're getting this unit in the flank. Okay, flank. We got them in the flank, okay? 0 kills, 1 kill. 1 kill, and we got them in the flank. 2 kills, okay? How long is this advantage gonna hold? Let's see what happens over here. Still, I can still get a flanking charge. Well, different units are flanking different units. It didn't go exactly according to plan, but okay, whatever. So this unit is getting slaughtered as we expected. Let's see how much damage we suffer. Not a lot on the charge. We got a charge coming in. Okay. Rear charge, 2-3 kills. In melee units, confident, still confident though. All these units are still confident. Eager, not even a dent in their morale. All right, let's try flanking this group of units over here before my men rout, hopefully. So this is as favorable as an engagement we can get here on the map, considering the map is flat. In the rear, right in the rear. Eager, attacked and flank. Okay, eager. Unit losing slightly. Unit winning slightly. Unit winning decisively. So we're in a scenario where units that are completely surrounded, even though we're equal in quality, by the way, equal quality units, they're still managing to win. You know, unit losing slightly, unit winning decisively, units winning slightly, combat even, which again is frankly absurd. Same setup, different map. One thing I like about this game is how it keeps the setup, unlike Shogun 2, where just each and every time you load out to the battle, you have to go and clear out the enemy army's loadout and reconfigure it again, which is just really annoying. All right, so set the group over here, and then same thing, set group over here. Yep, set group over here. And once again, Dreadlord is going to ruin this combat test. I cannot just test things individually. I have to make compromises. I have to jerry-rig a solution towards just testing simple combat mechanics. It leaves me wondering if they even, like, they did this on purpose so you can't properly test combat mechanics because they're just crap. Why is it acceptable that combat tests are this annoying to run? How is this acceptable? I wonder how people put up with this. I guess the standards have declined so far that people just don't care. Okay, we got charged down by. It's okay. We'll just ignore. We'll just ignore. It's fine. Charging downhill now. How bad is this gonna look? Yeah, 2 guys died. 3. No, we're losing more men. Sorry, never mind. Oh, especially okay. Well, the enemy lord is just ruining that. Let's try and get another one without them interfering. Yep, unit losing. And this shows you 2 things. This shows you how little height advantage matters and how much enemy lords just ruin the combat and how useless melee infantry are. Their only purpose is to literally pin down units, you know, like floss or whatever, like ants. I don't know, like ants on a honey stick, and then have your ranged units just pick them off effortlessly. That's their only purpose. Let's see how this goes. No counter charge, no counter charge. Okay. Oh no, we got a counter charge at the last second. Yep, and we're taking more losses. That was without the enemy lords getting involved. You guys saw it for yourself. You guys saw it for yourself. Without any enemy lords getting involved, and we are still taking heavier losses by by having a significant height advantage. And we're gonna, are we gonna get a flanking charge? Are we gonna get a flanking charge? Doubly. Oh my god, are we gonna get, no, we're not. No, they charge at the last second. Same thing again. We are taking more losses. Well, it's okay. It's okay. Let's see if our terrain advantage, if any terrain advantage materializes. Yep, let's charge. Let's charge this unit down and see what happens. It's not a perfect flank. Attacked in flank. No one killed. Okay, I'll pull him out. I'll pull him out. I'll try routing this cluster if I can route this cluster. And I'll narrow the unit to make sure they don't get contacted in the sides and stop their charge. Let's see what this does. One kill. Okay, one guy died. Another more kills. Okay, a couple of guys died. Great. Even if I do end up winning this fight, it's just unacceptable how many losses I've taken despite accumulating these advantages. And now, oh my god. Yeah, look at how quickly our numbers are declining. Keep in mind, none of our men are routing. None of our men are routing right now, by the way. So these are all combat deaths, straight combat deaths. Despite having a height advantage, we are already at a 100-man deficit, like 100-man difference in terms of counts across the army. Despite collecting terrain advantages and flanking and rear charges, we are still at a 150-man difference between these guys. What percentage is that? But 150 out of 700, I don't know. 20%. So guys, the combat in Warhammer, Total War Warhammer 2. Tactical, strategic, nah. Not as far as melee infantry are concerned. We have confirmed that the advantages, whatever advantages offered by terrain or by flanking, is not enough to compensate, at least for the difficulty modifiers. And this is the best challenge that the game has to offer. Again, you can tell me to just lower the difficulty. Just lower the difficulty. Well, here, this is the best challenge that the game has to offer. What does this tell me? It tells me, you know, melee infantry, not a good investment. Beyond using them as body blockers for your ranged units and your single entities. And this just shows you you got terrain not mattering, you got flanking not mattering, you got single entities ruining everything. And then the difficulty mod is like 4 things happening in the same combat test. Yep, none of these guys routed, despite being surrounded. Hell, they're not even close to routing. They're all steady and eager. They're steady and eager despite taking all those losses. Okay, cool. Let's test lower quality infantry and see if that makes a difference. I'm gonna go for lizard man and clear the army. So let's see where your weakest melee infantry. Skink cohort. Okay. And let's wait. Let's check what the combat stats are. So leadership, no, it's morale. Okay, 90 versus 55. That should be the most decisive factor. We got 100 armor versus 30. We got, let me see, speed, melee attack. Yeah, melee attack significantly higher on Blackguard. And then weapon strength. Let's see, weapon strength. Weapon strength, yep, it's almost double. Charge bonus, again, charge bonus is almost double. So we're looking at anything from like 60% advantage to a full double advantage in terms of stats. What are the unit counts again? 160. Okay, so numbers are just not doing the maths. The numbers are just not enough to compensate for the decrease in stats. Okay, we're gonna get a charge off. Charge, counter charge. Okay, we got 15 men. Okay, doing better than last time, but we need to, what matters is if we can rout them. That's what really matters. And if this single entity does not destroy the battle. Winning current combat. Okay. Yeah, let's see if this pans out into anything. Okay, so 1 unit has gotten and taken 2 units have taken significant damage. Okay, that's positive. But let's see if we can keep that momentum. After the charge bonus wears off, I want to see if we keep on dealing that same amount of damage. You know, if we win this or we lose this, either way, it shows how broken the combat is. Like, we only won this because the quality of the units was far inferior to what we were facing in the previous fight. That's the only difference over here. We have the same number of units. We have the single entity destroying everything in the combat. So the only difference between these two armies was the quality of the units themselves. We're still having the same terrain advantage, flanking. Every other advantage we collected in the previous fight is being collected over here. But what makes the variable that changed is the quality of the units we're fighting. And that's what's going to, if we end up winning this fight, that is what's going to make the difference. So this is a low quality unit. This is such a low quality unit that is losing decisively, that is down about a quarter to its strength, and it is still refusing to rout. It's still refusing. It's not even wavering. It's shaken. Okay, now finally wavering at 35. This is such a low quality unit, and yet it's still... Okay, finally. Finally, we have some sort of advantage being accumulated over here. I don't know how long this fight has lasted. We're more than 10 minutes over here, despite the huge discrepancy in unit quality and the terrain advantage and flanking and complete surround. The battle is still dragging on for this long, despite accumulating all of these advantages. And keep in mind, these are black guards, okay? These aren't going to be available to you turn 1 on the campaign. So you're not gonna have this advantage in unit quality to rely on. Okay, we got skink cohort. Did they rally? Oh, jeez. Well, okay. I think that's the army losses. Yep, that's the army losses that broke them. So victory. Okay, I want to see something over here. Okay, so we lost about 50 men total to kill 1,100, and this is with significant advantages in terrain and flanking. Okay, now I want to take this setup. I want to take this setup and I want to do it on a flat terrain map to see what I can do, what I can pull off. The same exact setup. So let's go to MP Crossroads. Where is it? MP Crossroads. MP Crossroads. Okay, there we go. Let's try this again. Same loadouts. Let's see how much. Let's see. We're trying to isolate how much the terrain affected gave me an advantage over here. So whatever difference you see in the kill counts is mostly going to come down to the fact that we don't have a massive height advantage on them in this fight. So let's go. Let's go. And this is how you conduct unit tests, guys. You try to isolate variables as much as possible. So we're using the same loadouts as much as we can. Now, I'm predicting that our allied troop count is going to start dropping significantly within the next, like, it's gonna start dropping more quickly than it was in the last match because of the lack of terrain advantage. Let's go. Come on, I want to make sure this is as clean as possible. Okay, that barely did anything. Still steady. So these units are all completely steady, even though they have much worse morale and they're being hit in the rear by high quality units as well. So this unit, okay, has routed. Let's see if we can roll up the flank now and accelerate this defeat. Okay. So single entity bullcrap over here. Okay. Plus 24 melee defense, plus 16 leadership. More leadership, it's morale, it's morale, it's morale. Oh, let's charge that unit down. Let's see if we can do anything here. Man, look at how all these low quality units are holding so well despite all the advantages here. Let's get a counter charge off on these guys. All right. So let me get this straight. Let me pause that for now, or let me slow this down. So what did we just see over here? We took roughly the same losses that we took in the last fight. Despite no terrain advantage over here at all. Despite the massive terrain advantage we had in the last fight, the discrepancy, we only lost about 10. We ended up losing fewer men in this fight fighting on level terrain than we did in the last fight. How does that make any sense? How does that make any sense? That pretty much proves that terrain has such a negligible advantage on the fight. Again, it is unit quality. The one thing that was... Two things were constant over here. Unit quality was kept the same between these two matches. The one thing that changed was the terrain. And yet, we ended up performing slightly better in this fight. It should be... If this was properly simulating the advantage of terrain, the last fight should have been... It should not even be close between the previous fight and this fight. The two tests should not even be close in terms of results. Instead, this result is slightly in favor of the match we just did over here. That is insane. Okay. I don't know what more proof you need to show how terrain matters so little, especially when you're talking about melee infantry. It's the quality. Again, unit quality is what matters above all else in this game's design, unfortunately. And to demonstrate this point about unit quality further, let's get rid of the Blackguard. Your time is over. Let's just get rid of the Blackguards. And instead, go for Bleak Swords. So your cheapest melee infantry for Dark Elves. And let's, I think right now we're going to keep the same loadout for the enemy army. For Bleak Swords, you have melee attack of 36 versus melee attack of 20. So we still end up having a bit of a slight advantage. Compared to Blackguards, there's 20 more men in these units. Let us attempt the same thing with a terrain advantage and see how stark the difference is between those two. Keep in mind, when we added terrain advantage, we lost about 50, Blackguards. Okay, and this is a more realistic, reasonable idea of what you're gonna have in the campaign. So you're taking the two cheapest units of melee infantry for two different factions. What you're gonna have access to in the campaign more readily available. You're not gonna have Blackguards available, but and probably you're gonna have difficulty affording them anyway. The two most readily available melee infantry units for these two factions. Okay, let's try that out now. And we still have a slight advantage. So in a reasonable game, we still have a slight advantage in terms of stats. So in a reasonable game, in a well-designed game, we'd still be able to pull away with a victory. So, yep, let's head on to Golden Tribute. And I think, yeah, that's it. Let's go. Make sure we're targeting the correct units over here. Oh my god. Alright then, getting unit buffs and whatever. Let's see what happens over here. Charge, 120 versus 160. What do we get? Yeah, we end up taking more. We end up taking more damage. We end up taking more damage in the charge. Okay. Funny game. More equal damage despite having better stats and the terrain advantage. Yep, guys. Here again, you know, unit quality is what makes or breaks the game. I was gonna go around to testing cavalry and everything, but I already spent 1 hour over here just testing melee infantry and terrains. I think I'll make this into its own video at this point. We only have about 150 more men, but we've already lost, like, percentage wise, we've already lost significantly more than what we lost in the previous fights with using Blackguards. Let's try and envelop multiple units over here. We're gonna have the skink cohort come up in our rear, which is gonna be annoying. It's gonna screw with the test a bit. You see how much your single entities screw with tests, guys? Okay, I'm gonna pull back. I don't want to get involved like that. Move out, move out, move out, move out. Do not get caught like that. I do not want any terrain advantage, any terrain disadvantage. It's gonna screw with the test a bit. All right, let's try this. All right, flanking charge, flanking charge, flanking charge. Will we get anything? 1 kill, a few kills. Okay, 5 kills. Great. Thanks, game. Literally every advantage you could ask for. Flanking, you're charging into someone's flank and you have the full force of gravity behind you. And then 5 guys get destroyed. Okay. Yep, guys, we lowered our unit quality and look at how much worse we're doing despite collecting every meaningful tactical advantage we could. Surround, flanking, high ground. Yep, we got it. And only just now one of these units is about to... the second unit's about to route. There was one unit that routed earlier. Alright. When you bring in the difficulty modifiers, this is what happens. So we're already down to about, what, half our strength right now? Yeah, close enough. We're down to half strength, so... we're trading very badly despite superior units quality, at least on paper, not counting the difficulty modifiers, and then... these major advantages we're getting as well. Yeah. Attacked in the rear, damage sustained, attacked in the rear, exhausted. Okay, no, they stabilized. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. It all stabilized. It's all good. I just know somebody's gonna come in the comments and give me some, well, actually in the Warhammer lore, they're just straight in six. Oh my god. Guys, you know, some of you might think I'm just against the Warhammer universe or whatever, Warhammer fantasy. No, I'm just against bad, uninteresting gameplay that's poorly thought out or poorly balanced. Regardless of what setting it is in. I've criticized Three Kingdoms for having the same problem. I've criticized Rome 2. I have my own videos showcasing how Rome 2 terrain does not matter, flanking does not matter. It's inconsequential. So no, this is not something specific to a fantasy setting or to Warhammer, okay? It's just Total War in general just does not know how to do its combat anymore. And don't worry, we will be testing that right now shortly. We will be testing that. So we lost just over half our men. We lost just over half our men, and we still haven't finished the fight. Okay, all these units are gonna rally. I think that just shows enough either way. So where does that lead us? That leads us right into the next game. Let's go for Katana Kachi. I'm going for Katana Kachi instead of Katana Samurai because they have a higher unit count, and that'll make it apparent. That'll if there's going to be any modifier coming in from very hard difficulty, as a result of very hard difficulty, it will show. And I want to see what formation they take. They took 4 ranks. Okay, so enemy unit is 4 ranks deep. I'm gonna go 4 ranks deep. Gonna make sure to keep everything constant, including stamina. Stamina doesn't have that much of an effect in Fall of the Samurai and Shogun 2 in general.
Sir, your general is under attack.
See what we do to the enemy unit. All right, we are neck and neck even already. Charge has us neck and neck almost. There's a slight discrepancy in numbers, just a very, very small discrepancy in the numbers right now. Nothing too drastic. No, it's very, very evenly matched so far. It has swung back and forth slightly, but that's expected. But overall, it's quite an even fight we're having right now. Let's see. Combat even. Yeah.
Victory is assured, sir.
So we were it was pretty neck and neck to the very end, and we only started falling behind in terms of unit counts towards like the last 5 seconds, but that can be chalked down to RNG. It was very consistently evenly matched for the most part. Katana Kachi ended up routing at about they're a pretty high morale unit, ended up routing at about a quarter strength, whereas Skink Cohort, the cheapest infantry unit for Lizardmen, was not routing. Or was not even wavering when it was a quarter strength. It was shaken. That should tell you something. Okay, let's try that again. So yeah, we're getting charged.
Your general is in mortal peril, sir.
And again, pretty even, neck and neck. We are very neck and neck. Only now we just slightly started pulling ahead, just very slightly by a few percentage. Keep in mind these are 200 man-sized units. Having a 10-man discrepancy isn't that big of a deal. It can come down to the melee RNG. It's normal to have a slight discrepancy because of the melee RNG. And we're very even this time. Look, we are wavering at the same time. They're wavering. Yep, we're very even. It's very obvious that whatever modifiers, if the enemy units have any modifiers, and they are not significant enough to alter the outcome, the overall outcome of the fight. And they were roughly the same size as our units when they started routing. Giving fake buffs to the AI units in Total War in battle is equivalent to giving enemy soldiers hit point bonuses, to making them into bullet sponges in first-person shooters. It leads to the same kind of boring gameplay where you just need to have insane micromanagement just to have a fair fight. Let's see now. So we were neck and neck, very evenly matched. We debunked the difficulty modifiers. Now let's see what effect terrain has on the fight. And hint, it's gonna be a pretty significant difference. Be fighting up a pretty steep incline. I don't know, that's like 45 degrees. Are we looking at, we're looking at like a 45 degrees incline, it seems, maybe 40 degrees. Pretty damn significant. And yeah, get the charge going. Let's go. So perfectly even, both of us are getting charges.
I fear your general is in mortal peril, sir.
And right away, we are starting to see a discrepancy in the numbers. Yeah, we are starting to see some sort of discrepancy in the numbers. Not huge, but noticeable. Yeah, we're at a 40 man. We are at a 40 man advantage right now. That's like a 25% advantage, which is significant. And you're not gonna be fighting these fights. This is not a
General has fallen.
So we're at double strength. We are at double strength as they're about to rout. Yeah.
Triumphed over the
We got a KD. We went from having a KD. We doubled our kill death ratio by taking a significant height advantage. Double. We went from neck and neck, no difficulty modifiers affecting the fight, to having doubled the effectiveness of our unit. And this isn't even a reasonable fight. So you're not going to be fighting this one-on-one on a downhill slope in campaign. You're going to have multiple units flanking, and you can just imagine what that looks like when you have the force multipliers of units flanking. You can shift this fight even further in your favor. This is not an ideal fight I'd like to take in campaign. It's still losing a lot of men, especially in Fall of the Samurai. It's difficult to replenish, so I would not want to take this fight anyway, but this is progress. So you're like, okay, so we improved the performance of our men significantly by giving them that advantage. What other advantages can we give them? That's the next question. Yep, we're gonna go for as many for the significant height advantage. Those guys did not get a charge off. And they're gonna try flanking my own men. We're already wavering on this side, unfortunately, but that unit stabilized. And this shows while terrain is a significant advantage, it is not just an automatic battle winner. You still have to ensure your men are well supported. Even Katana Kachi. This is morale. Actually, this is the strength of the combat system. Morale still matters even when you give these advantages. And we have the line breaking.
Your general is under attack.
And very decisively, the line is breaking now. Very decisively, lines breaking, and this is a chain route. This is something we could not do in Warhammer 2 because both the hit points and the way morale works and the buffs that the AI was getting to its morale. It was just not possible. It was not possible to get a chain route in that game. So yeah, once again, straight 1 to 2 KD ratio. Maybe let's be a bit more realistic. Like, it's probably 1.8 before we counted the killing the routing men. Against an equal quality army on very hard difficulty, and that was done by utilizing the advantages of terrain and flanking. And you saw, once we routed one unit, you saw how quickly that line broke. That is something that is very, very difficult to do in a game like Warhammer 2, where the AI has such a huge morale bonus, just a flat morale bonus, and 2, health bars. This game does not have health bars. This game has 1 hit point per soldier in the units. Each man in the unit has his own hit point. He gets hit, he's dead. So the fight is over much more decisively. Maneuvering like flanking is not depleting health bars. The men are actually dying right away when they get hit. I will admit, Shogun 2 for some reason gave significant buffs to ranged units on very hard difficulty. They get better accuracy and better reload, and I think more armor piercing. I'm not sure, which is I find really annoying, and I've caught that on video so many times, just how both samurai shred other units. But overall, it's a very robust combat system, And I think it is objectively a more engaging one. There is simply more that you can do in the system. It is not just a question of unit quality. Unit quality is just one factor that determines the outcome of the fight, among others, rather than being the end-all, be-all. In campaign, you are not going to win in a very hard or legendary campaign in Shogun 2 by just trying to recruit the most expensive unit out there. It's not going to work, and even if it does work, it's going to be very, very inefficient. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you learned something, and I will be doing more of these tests for Warhammer 2 and other games, so stay tuned for that, and I will see you next time. I started this recording session intending to do a comprehensive test of Warhammer 2's combat, going over melee combat, the effects of terrain, flanking, the effectiveness of cavalry charges, but I decided that I have to split those topics into a few videos for fear of this turning into a 2-hour feature. After over an hour of gameplay and multiple tests, some were recontrolled for unit quality, others were recontrolled for terrain, I think it's startlingly clear to anyone watching that engagements in Warhammer 2 and the wider Total War franchise beginning with Rome 2 are decided almost exclusively by unit quality and stats. Terrain has a negligible effect on the outcome, and it's hard to overstate just how much this simple fact damages the battle gameplay. In every Total War game prior to Rome 2, the very first thing you do when loading into a battle is surveil the terrain. In fact, Shogun 1 has 2, yes, not 1 but 2 pre-battle phases. Every Total War has the well-known deployment phase, but it may surprise you to know that Shogun 1 had an extra state before that where none of your units were on the field. You could move the camera around freely. Because this phase was the surveilling phase or the scouting phase, the game has an entire battle phase where you're supposed to do nothing but surveil the terrain. The game was strongly encouraging us to think like the commanders across history. What is the terrain here like? Are there any hills I can place my army on? Are there any obstructions I can use to shield or conceal units? Will my enemy have access to any of these advantages? How do I deny them those advantages? Obviously, when you reduce the advantage offered by terrain to something so negligible that you can perform just as well without it, all else equal, none of these considerations will matter anymore. When I tested the Black Guards against Skink cohort on 2 different maps, I performed slightly better on level terrain than I did with the high ground. The difference was roughly 10 fewer men lost on my side, and that's such a tiny difference that it can easily be chalked down to something else like the melee RNG being slightly favorable towards me, for example. In any game that competently simulates the effects of a terrain difference, I should never be able to perform anywhere close to as effectively on level terrain as I would fighting downhill. I'd also like to remind you that this issue does not get resolved by lowering the difficulty to normal, because the game is fundamentally designed in a way that unit quality disproportionately affects the outcome of combat. And for someone who might tell me I should just lower the difficulty to have a fair fight, I'd like to know why higher difficulties were even included in the game if you're going to insist that people don't play them. And if you try to reason that no game has a perfect implementation of difficulty, I'd have to disagree. There are games out there that nail their difficulty settings, you just haven't played them. Hey there guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And if you're new to the channel, I do Let's Plays for strategy games like Total War, city builders like City Skylines and Frostpunk, open world games like Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and first-person shooters like Battlefield 1 and Metro. You can hop onto Discord and join in on all the fun, and if you want to support the channel further, you can subscribe to my Patreon and gain access to exclusive videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye!